business owner stuck in fear, doubt, and worry about what the marketplace will look like in the future? Then this show is for you. Strap on your seatbelt and get ready to disrupt and innovate. Here's your host, Lisa Levy.
Today, I'd like to introduce Heather Campbell. She's an author, CEO, a motivational speaker whose mission it is to help people be seen, heard, and celebrated. Heather's new book, Good is Amazing, invites people of all ages and all walks of life to recognize that a life full of good, well, it's absolutely amazing. As the co-founder of Ready, Set, Recover, Heather empowers patients to prepare for and recover from surgery in a whole new way. With her leadership roots at ESPN, Audacy, and a deep commitment to community, Heather brings heart, strategy, and purpose to everything she does. Heather, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
I am so excited to have a conversation about good. We talk about a lot of things I've done a lot of AI, and we have the doom and the gloom and all of these other things and fear. Why is the work that you're doing today so important?
It's fascinating to me. I've been joking about writing this book for 10 years. I would tell strangers mostly that I was writing a book, and they'd say, what's it about? And I'd say, well, this is the title. And their bodies change. Their shoulders fall away from their ears, and they would lean in and they're like, oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And then I'd think in my head, I really have to write more than a title. What I found in doing this was, again, you asked the why. There's a need, and it's a need that is palpable. The people who are resonating with this book, I had the great honor of being on 2 other conversations a little while ago. During one week, I recorded with a podcast for the University of Chicago booth. So MBA program, and a podcast called Mystic Messages. So you hear those 2 names.
Very different.
Very different. Same questions, different language.
Tell me that story. Talk about what those questions are and how they came from the 2 audiences differently.
The questions are about, is it okay if I want something different? From the University of Chicago booth, that was an MBA candidate saying, my parents are interested in return on investment from this thing that I'm doing. What do I do if I don't think I want to do these things? From Mystic Messages, that same question was, what if I don't want to do what I've been thinking I want to do? So from your parents, from yourself, voices that are in your head, my answers were the same for both. You have to look at what's right for you. You have to understand what's right for you. Share it then. I call it the positive presumptive close. So for the MBA candidate whose parents were interested on the return on investment, go in with the return that you want them to agree to. Mom and Dad, I want to be healthy, and I want to take care of myself, and I want to travel. And I know that what you want is for me to be happy and healthy as well. Let them in, invite them in to say yes, and then show them how you're going to take care of yourself in terms of the needs that they're scared of. Same thing to yourself. Hi, self. You know what? I'm doing a pretty good job of covering those needs, or I might need to do something else in order to do that, but I can do it the way I want to. So hearing it from very different audiences, that is why this is so necessary. I had a 19-year-old sit on my kitchen table reading the book the other day. I never thought a 19-year-old boy from Australia would be reading my book, and I couldn't stop. He would read and he's like, oh, but I'm like, okay, yeah, we can talk about it. All good. Like, how do I write? You're going to read and you're going to think about it. People want this message. People need this message.
So you shared that it was a 10-year journey to write the book. What was going on in that 10 years and the journey that informed and shaped the message? What was the catalyst that put this in your head?
Yeah. Again, the stories that are in the book are stories that I've shared for the 10 years, and they resonated with people. And I was doing other things. I was a stay-at-home mom. I had a job where I was in charge of alchemy. I created a company as a CEO. So there were lots of things happening that were holding me back from really taking the time and energy to sit down. But there was one friend in particular who's actually in the book. Her name is Jackie Getz. my daughter's former middle school principal, who I had shared a little bit with. And Jackie is a wonderful nudge. I mean, just, and we'd be having coffee and I'd be talking and she'd say, yes, to whatever story I was telling. And she'd like, yes, yes. Is that in the book? That should be in the book. Is that a chapter in the book? When are you going to write the darn book? And the combination of her love and support and the response I would get from people really, again, made me feel like there was this both this opportunity and responsibility to actually get this out there.
Will you share with us one of the stories?
Sure. Um, it's really there's some of my favorites, but I'll share with you the beginning because again, it's kind of the beginning of my journey on all of this. I was a sophomore in college at the University of Wisconsin. Go Badgers. And my phone rings. Now, this is a time when, pre-cell phones. So my mother is in Milwaukee, I'm in Madison, and we have a regular schedule of every Sunday we have a call. That's how you know it's going to happen. So it's, I don't know, a Tuesday or something, and the phone rings, and it's my mom. And we start having this conversation, and I'm kind of listening, I'm like, college, whatever. And my mother, in a very, very voice like this, Heather. And I'm like, oh God, this can't be good. Will you promise to become president of the United States? And she's not kidding. Something terrible has happened in the world. I don't know what it was, but something has happened. And my mother thinks I could actually change it by becoming president of the United States of America. And I remember this moment because number one, my mom was not like this. She was not some helicopter, like you've got a parent. So very out of character. But also it was this moment, she's having a meltdown and I'm having an epiphany. My mom is asking me, who am I going to be? Who am I as a person? What are my goals? My goals are simple. They're simple and incredibly hard. I want to be happy and healthy. That's what I want. I am greedily wanting to be happy and healthy. And I recognize that being president of the United States is most likely going to make me miserable, miserable. And I start thinking about, so what can I do? What am I going to be? What do I want? How do I formulate this? It was truly a moment that started this whole good is amazing path of recognizing that actually I get to decide what I'm going to do and what actually is good. And so then I also had a conversation with my mom about I hear you. I hear you want me to change the world, but guess what? I do that every day. I do that every day by being a part of my younger cousin's life. I do that every day by holding the door open for someone. I do that because I'm listening, I'm thinking, I'm interacting with people. I have purpose. And I personally don't need to be president of the United States to change the world and to know that. I don't want to say until I achieve this level, not so good. So yeah, so that's the first chapter in the book. And really, I think was the beginning of my consciously deciding to be on this road.
So there's a lot in that story, right? Mom moments are so incredibly inspirational. And I am at a stage in life where, right, I'm now the mom that creates the mom moments. And that's a bitter pill sometimes along the way. It's like, oh my gosh. But asking you to be president of the United States, what a big moment to just sort of gasp and go, oh my gosh.
She did compromise later and say, what about senator? She was willing to compromise in the conversation. How about
As
senator?
long as she's willing to manage some
Right,
expectations,
right.
that's your life is not a negotiation with mom.
Correct.
It's not. But it did at a relatively young age give you a moment of time to sense and grasp the empowerment of you have the ability to make the decisions about what is good for you. And when we kind of switch that and look at that from sort of a more business centric mind, right? We can talk about that as conditions of satisfaction, right? And how we navigate through the business world, that doing good things and the small things that you mentioned, holding the door open, common courtesy and politeness, things that I'll veer off for a second and say we're not doing such a great job with right now,
Great.
with each individual doing a few of those things a little bit better, right? What a change we could make collectively. And maybe we'll play with that a little bit more. But as you've gone through your journey and your career and the different things that you've done, how have you been disruptive? How have you done things that have challenged status quo, made impacts, elevated everybody around you? Because I've had enough conversation with you to know that you, like me, are just a little bit naughty and probably have some good stories in that space.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the leadership roles that I had. The job at ESPN was one of the best jobs in the world ever. Started by getting called a friend. She said, "Oh my gosh, I have this job. What are you doing right now? What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm calling you to get it." She's like, "No, no, I've got this job. You're perfect for it." And I said, "Awesome. What's the job?" She said, "I don't know." And I'm like, "So why am I perfect for it if you don't know?" She said, "Well, I need someone who has guts, but is highly diplomatic." And I said, "Okay." She said, "Oh, and by the way, everyone here will hate you." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Oh, and you're not going to be senior enough for what you're worth." Like, wow, you're really selling this. And of course, I took the job. So it was creating synergy. ESPN is owned by the Walt Disney Company. At the time, they had this thing called Synergy. Michael Eisner, who was the CEO, had started it. But at ESPN, what synergy meant was getting a call from Disney saying, "Do this." It wasn't about finding mutual beneficial. It was do this. So I came into this role where I was trying to invite people, learn enough about people, learn how
Mhm.
to speak their language. I joked that I spoke many languages when I was at ESPN. I could speak ESPN. We had fans. I could speak ABC. They had viewers. I could speak parks. They have VIP guests. So, can you come in knowing what other people speak, knowing what other people's goals are, and actually bring them together? It was amazingly challenging and absolutely wonderful. What immediately came to my mind when you said a little bit naughty or a little bit disruptive, early in to the job, my boss got a new boss. And so we're sitting at the conference table and it's time to impress the new boss. And we're all supposed to be saying things to be really impressive. And it comes to me and I say, "The synergy department is no longer the synergy department. We are now the co-promotions team." And my boss says, "I'm sorry, what?" And I said, "We're now the co-promotions team." And she said, what are you talking about? Did you go to HR? What are you talking about?" I said, "Well, no, no, it's not an HR thing. It's just a me thing." No, by the way, there was no department or team. It's me. Like there's no group. I just created a department. I said, "So here's the thing. People were right. People hate me here because they think I'm going to come in and tell them what to do." So when I come in and I introduce myself as Heather Campbell, I'm in charge of the co-promotions team. They say, "No, you're not. You're Synergy." And I say, "Oh, no, 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 but you don't like Synergy. You think that's bad. So I don't want you to think of me that way because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to do co-promotions. I'm here to find mutually beneficial ways to work together. Sometimes they might not be mutually beneficial, but it won't harm you. Every once in a while, I'm going to ask you to take one for the team, but I'm going to tell you that. And mostly, though, what I'm here to do is the mutually beneficial. That's my goal. That is what I want to make happen." And my boss just went, "Okay." And her boss said, "That sounds fabulous. Great job." So I was taking a risk. Like I didn't know where that was going to go, but it was the right thing to do.
Well, it was the right thing to do, and with everything that you've described up to that point, right? The intention was good, and you were, as you were describing, the languages that you speak. What comes to my mind is Star Trek and the universal translator, right?
Mhm.
All things to all people, and in doing that, you understood how to get to language
Yes.
that everybody could attach to and connect with, so that you were not a threat. You were there to help them be successful. And that is a significantly impressive skill to have. And the chutzpah and guts to just sort of throw it out in a meeting untested with anybody, hats off. That is being disruptive in its truest form.
Thank
I
you.
love it. As you were building and navigating in that environment, I'm sure is just rich with lots of unique characteristics, and I might even caution some drama along the way. What are some of the roadblocks and challenges with people that you've helped overcome and help them overcome so that people get to those mutually beneficial outcomes?
So when you are a part of a large organization, you are like the Walt Disney World. You're going to have multiple brands. They all have different goals. They are held accountable. They are yelled at or rewarded for different things. You need to recognize what people are being yelled at or rewarded from or about. You need to recognize that. Can you help them in these ways? Can you make it easier? Do you see the challenges? So that's the first part, recognizing we need to pay attention to the things that are going to make ourselves successful or help us keep our jobs. The second part is very often because we have such a focus on doing those things, we're not a part of the larger picture. So when you're not a part of the larger picture, when you're focused on this piece of the puzzle because it makes sense, you're not invited in to create solutions to that piece of the puzzle. Another company that I worked for when I was in charge of alchemy, I actually literally 2 days ago, I got an email from someone I worked with. And he said, and he's looking for a job. And he said, can you say some things that you liked about working with me? So in this job, similarly to Synergy, I would hold brainstorming meetings around priorities. I would invite people who were just engaged people. Didn't matter to me your title. Are you an engaged thinker? This guy was an engaged thinker. So he came in, he looked at the priority that we were talking about in a completely different way. He was throwing out ideas to other people, inviting them, not judgmentally, but well, would this work? What do you Hours after the meeting, he was still emailing me different ideas. People don't feel invited to do that very often within organizations. And understandably, again, we're busy, we're focused, but can you create an environment when you are inviting people to say things not with judgment, not with you should, but hey, could we? Could we do this? Back to ESPN, I was there during the 25th anniversary and I went around to all of the different areas at Disney saying, we've got it's a big deal. We've got an anniversary. These are some of our thoughts. One of my coworkers at the park said, what if we held your birthday party down here? What if you took over one of the parks for like 4 days? What could we? And we built this mutually beneficial. We're gonna bring reasons for Florida residents to come. We're gonna build reasons to put heads in beds. We've got something that's sponsorable. But number one, it started with let's have a birthday party. Let's bring the fans in and give them a moment to celebrate with us. So those invitation moments, I think, are one of the biggest things.
And I like the phrasing, the invitation moments. One of the things I love to do with clients is, during ideation, right? We're filling in the blank. Wouldn't it be great if we could, right? And so it's always from that positive perspective of what's possible as opposed to the constant no, 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 no. It changes absolutely everything. Heather, if you had a piece of advice or counsel to offer leaders who are getting ready and they want to, put their toes in the water of being a little bit disruptive and challenging norms,
Mhm.
what advice would you give?
So that invitation side is the biggest thing. Invite other people. Don't do it on your own. Like just invite people in, see what happens. But the biggest part in doing disruptive, in my opinion, is thinking about what you're going to do. Tell people. Tell people with it. Like, so this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm going to do. Don't wait till it's perfect. Don't wait till it's done. Tell people. So I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to do this. Then do it, which is really hard. It's scary. It's so, so scary to be disruptive. It's so, so scary to go out there on that ledge. And then afterwards, tell them what happened. Share with people the good and the bad. I had a big presentation that I was doing, all of these different things we had done. I was so excited, so excited. I just wanted to check one thing because I had in the presentation that we had 100 million impressions. that went through the company for this different company than ESPN. Maybe I'd gotten more. So I went to just confirm, had we gotten more than the 100? We had gotten 22 million, not 100 million, 22 million. This was a big flub on that part. This was a huge problem. I told them that. I said, guess what? I've uncovered a big miss. We thought that when we did XYZ, it was leading to this. In fact, it's not. And I've had more conversations with people, and here's why. So we need to fix it, because when we think we're doing this, we should do that. So think about what you're going to do. Tell people you're going to do it, and then discuss the outcomes. And the hardest part is being in an environment where that is welcomed. Are you supported? Are you championed? Do the other leaders in the organization recognize that if you are going to move forward, sometimes things are not going to go the way we plan? Do you have people who have your back?
And are you creating cultures where those moments, those are, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly happens often and regularly. Those are unexpected outcomes. Those are learning moments. That is an opportunity to make different decisions, take a different course of action. And it's about results, not necessarily the person who's communicating the fact that it was a big flub. They happen every single day.
Right.
And we have to be able to talk about them. Otherwise, we build we focus on results that are not as good as they could be when we lose track of the things that don't work.
Who's going to take the chance? If you see other people getting, again, a lot of this stuff is really simple. It comes back to being a kid. What are you praised for and rewarded for? What are you yelled at? Are you going to be put in a timeout or grounded? Are you going to, be given a birthday cake? Like what are we feeding here? It's important because people are watching. That's the other thing. People are watching and they learn. And as soon as they learn, this is not an environment. You say you want disruption, you say you want innovation, but in fact, you only want sure results. I'm not putting my neck out there.
Yeah, and it does, right? It is culturally important. Heather, if the things that we've been talking about touch the employees and they want to learn more about you, find a copy of Good is Amazing, how do they do that?
Absolutely. My website is heatheracampbell.com. They can go in and look at the things that I'm speaking about. I'm doing workshops. The beauty of the book, Good is Amazing, is it really makes it easy for us to have deep conversations. At the end of every chapter, I ask you some questions and ask you to think about, what does this mean for you? The book isn't about me. The book is about you. So yes, so they can go to heatheracampbell.com and reach out to me that way.
In the conversation today, we've started with the idea that the positive presumptive close is a great way to start framing conversations so that we can address the real question, whether it's coming from inside ourselves or from outside, how we can position so that we are talking about the things that really actually matter to us as individuals. You shared a story about your daughter's middle school principal and the power of having a nudge in your life. And we all need somebody who will just gently push us along the way when we are doubting ourselves, we're resisting the things that we know what to do. Having somebody in our corner who says, when are you going to get around to getting that done is really important. I loved your mom moment story and the fact that in one incredibly outlandish act, mom helped set a framework for you that has become the journey of your life and that you've shared the stories in the book. This is absolutely a fantastic conversation, and audience members, remember to invite people into a conversation where you can look at and work towards mutually beneficial outcomes, because what we can do together is so much better than when somebody is standing and shouting, this is the way we're going to do it. Do the work, don't ask questions, right? We want to get into that space where we are collaborating and building the better outcomes for the future. Heather, thank you so much for being here with us today. Audience members, you know the rules. Don't get left behind. Join me next time.
That's it for today's episode of Disrupt and Innovate. Head over to iTunes and subscribe to the show.